nightmarish and captivating experience Fear and Hunger shapes through that cruelty. A cruelty you can feel as soon as the game begins. Hey, I just want to say that because I have validation issues and seek approval through unreasonable means, I play the game on the harder terror and starvation difficulty. And if you want the experience I'm about to spend the rest of this video describing, I advise you do the same. You start the game by picking one of 4 characters, your only guidance being that there is a infamous knight named Lagarde who disappeared into the dungeon of Fear and Hunger. Your goal being to locate Lagarde and escape the dungeon. Something you can actually do in under an hour. In theory. From here, the game drops you into its opening courtyard. No tutorial, no direction, just you and the dungeon's gaping abyss. What could possibly go wrong? You are immediately mauled to death by a pack of ravenous dogs. Hear that knocking sound? That is the sound that will greet you every time you die and are booted back to the game's opening menu. It is the sound of a failed run, of lost progress, and of having to start again. You will hear it a lot. Unless you're playing as anyone except Knight, who is objectively the best character in the game, the dogs are a nightmare that will shred your health in a couple of attacks and inflict multiple status effects, even initiating their own coin flip attack, which if you lose... Yep. Soon you will learn that fighting the dogs is not a reliable option. So what if instead you just escape into the castle? You know, if you time it just right, there's this corner that the dog's AI will catch on, and hey, you've done it. You found a reliable way to survive the dogs that you can now use in every playthrough moving forward. Oh god, no! What? Where's the... But how am I supposed to... No, piece of shit! Yeah, see, while the structure of Fear and Hunger's larger map stays the same, the subsections of that map switch between different handcrafted layouts, meaning even the shit you can rely on, you cannot rely on. The dogs feel so random and unfair and cruel, and I really couldn't blame someone for walking away at this point. But remember when I said there was no tutorial in Fear and Hunger? There actually is. And it's already started. You just don't know it yet. See, while the main entrance will nearly always result in a conflict with the dogs, there's actually this sneaky little side passage. While it's nowhere near as inviting as the main gate, it leads down into a set of dark stairs that the dogs will not follow you. This is your eye-opening. That is a much bigger deal than it sounds. But for now, I want to concentrate on where this leads. Down into a cramped basement crawling with eerie tentacle monsters. There's also this big door with a crow on it. I don't know what this is. Anyway, whom the basement's tight corridors will force you into conflict. However, these creatures are nowhere near as dangerous as the dogs, and because of that, this is where we can start to learn about Fear and Hunger's combat, the central mechanic of which is its limb dismemberment system. Rather than choosing to attack a single enemy in Fear and Hunger, you instead attack their specific limbs, this octopus enemy being broken into its left, right, and central tentacles, as well as its head. But the thing is, an enemy doesn't just get one turn. Each of these limbs has its own attacks, which it will use on its own individual turn. Meaning, you're not fighting one enemy, but several. This applies to every enemy in the game. Your options being to attack each of the octopus's limbs one by one, or go straight for the head and knock that fucker out. This is the correct option, unless you're playing as the Dark Priest, whose weak little arms can't even a kill shot. Upon defeating your first tentacle monster, you will gain something that will change your entire perspective of Fear and Hunger. Nothing! No items, no experience, no level up. Unlike practically every other game with RPG elements, you cannot grind past a problem. You could kill every octopus in the basement and the dogs will be exactly as dangerous. And worse, the very next enemy you encounter will body you even harder than the dogs. It's frustrating. It's easy to feel like you're not making any progress, that this game doesn't make sense. But the thing is, you are, and it does. While you may not have gained any stat increases or material advantage, think about what you've actually learned. 1. There are enemies that you will not be able to overcome. 2. The most obvious path isn't always the way forward. 3. Headshots are the only reliable way to take down enemies. And 4. There is no inherent advantage in winning most battles. It might not sound like a lot, but these 4 lessons are how the game tutorializes you. They are the building blocks that will prepare you for the entire rest of the game. And now that you have them, you're ready to take on the game's first real challenge. The ogre problem. The guard, or ogre as I like to call them, because calling them guards feels like referring to Godzilla as a scaly little fella, are the most common enemy in Fear and Hunger, and your ability to meaningfully progress in this game is going to depend on whether or not you can overcome them. And that might sound easier than it is. See, like the octopi, one good non-dark priest blow to the head will result in a kill shot. But unlike the octopi, you have a very low chance of actually hitting an ogre's head. A chance you can increase by taking out both its legs and causing it to fall over, but it takes 3 whole turns to do this, during which time the ogre will be free to use his cleaver to cut off your arms, which means no weapons or shields for you for the rest of the game. And if that sounds like a major disadvantage, it is. But don't worry, it's nothing a little child sacrifice can't fix. The ogre's right arm can initiate a coin flip attack, which if you lose, well, we've seen where that leads. This is the ogre problem. How do you prioritize which parts of him to attack without losing the majority of your health or limbs in the process? It's questions like that that the challenge of Fear and Hunger's combat comes from. And if you think that sounds difficult, oh buddy, oh my sweet little friend. So, how do you deal with this? Well, I like to do it like this. Let me tell you a little story. Throughout Fear and Hunger, there's these bear traps placed around the dungeon, and stepping into one means losing both legs, which effectively ends your run unless you're willing to crawl through the game on bloody stumps, slowly starving to death as you go insane, which I wouldn't recommend. You could start a YouTube channel to experience basically the same thing. This fucked so many of my early runs in Fear and Hunger, so I genuinely cannot undersell the dopamine explosion I experienced when I was caught by a guard, and knowing that fighting him would likely lead to the end of my run, I scrambled through my inventory, found a bear trap, and thought, fuck it, let's see if this works, and then it did. The guard, now starting the battle with 2 damaged legs, meaning his head was vulnerable from the first turn. For this single moment, I felt like the smartest man on the planet. And it was amazing not only because the game's difficulty had forced me to think creatively under pressure, but because it led to a broader realization about Fear and Hunger. This game is not an RPG. It's an immersive sim. If you're unfamiliar, an immersive sim is a game where rather than asking you to engage with its world through one central system, shooting in Doom, fighting in Street Fighter, or platforming in Mario, immersive sims present you with a variety of systems or options in how to approach a problem. And what I mean when I say Fear and Hunger is an immersive sim is that if you try to play this game like an RPG, you will get your face punched out through your ass. But when you start to look at it like an immersive sim, this is where the entire game breaks open. Take, for example, the ogre problem. The bear trap is just one solution, but say you don't have a bear trap. Another option might be to fling a red vial in its face, blinding it, making it way less likely to land those devastating attacks. We then have the two options we already mentioned, systematically cutting off the ogre's limbs, which can work if you have decent enough armor to soak up the ogre's lesser attacks, or just proving what a mad bastard you are to everyone and going straight for the head, which is risky, but if you have the accuracy raising eyeglasses equipped, it actually becomes a viable tactic. Or maybe you don't do any of these things. Maybe you find an assassin's handbook, learn how to make guard skins, meaning that you can disguise yourself from the ogres, letting you just slip by, trivializing an entire part of the game we've just spent 3 paragraphs talking about. And it's that last approach particularly that raises a really interesting question in Fear and Hunger. Is the real challenge of this game its battles, or are battles just one small part of something much greater? Because of how we're conditioned to interact with RPGs, it's easy to go into Fear and Hunger assuming that battles are the most important part of it. But as you have the kind of experiences we just talked about, you'll start to understand that way more important than battles is your knowledge and creativity in how to navigate this world. And for me, that revelation started with the bear trap, but it could have just as easily been when I realized that if you have a stick in your inventory when fighting those f***ing dogs, you can actually throw it for them and these lovable little puppers will get distracted, so you can just stab them to death. But the kicker is that you could have also used that stick to craft an ultra valuable torch item, which many areas are completely unnavigable. That is a word, I looked it up without. So do you really want to spend a stick on this one encounter? Or do you want to save it for later in the game as the encroaching darkness begins driving your party insane? Do you really want to burn that red vial in the eyes of an ogre, or should you have avoided that fight altogether, saving the vial to burn through a locked door? These are the dilemmas that Fear and Hunger will constantly hit you with, even when saving your game. As to do so, you'll need to correctly guess a coin flip, a failure resulting in, well, some bad things. However, by holding shift, which the game does not tell you, you can actually spend a lucky coin to flip 2 coins instead of 1. But do you want to waste that coin on a game save or hold on to it to use in a treasure chest for better loot, or to up your chances of surviving one of those agonizing instant kill attacks? The more you learn how valuable items actually are, moments like raiding the barrels in the opening courtyard become fucking enthralling as you calibrate and recalibrate your route through the dungeon with each new item. And the more you learn about these systems, the wider and more far-reaching those revelations become. For example, one of the game's major choke points are the mines, filled with dangerous boss monsters and particularly the ghosts which lie at the very end, which normal weaponry will not work on. And for me, learning to navigate the mines and the fact that the ghosts are vulnerable to cursed weapons felt huge. But then, 40 hours later, learning that there was actually a secret passage within a secret passage within a secret passage that just bypasses the mines completely, it is the closest I've ever felt to one of those galaxy brain expansion movies. And moments like this are what led to my realization that the real currency of Fear and Hunger is not stats or items or money, but knowledge. Your understanding of what this world is and how to move through it. This renders the earlier statement of this video that of a foolish child.
If you're playing as anyone except Knight, who is objectively the best class in the game,
Knight is good. The combination of her armor granting her the highest starting defense, as well as her speccable ability Fast Attack, which once activated lets her make 2 actions per turn, means she can both soak up the damaging mistakes beginner players will make, as well as giving those players an extra turn to experiment and learn, which makes her a really solid starting option and objectively the best character in the game in combat. However, think of everything we've just talked about and how every advantage of Knight is linked exclusively to battles. In terms of navigating Fearkeeper's world and interacting with it as an immersive sim, Knight has no advantages at all. Now, compare that to Mercenary, a character who, stats-wise, is far weaker than Knight. However, not only can his lock-picking ability allow him to bypass any lock in the game, saving those reviles for flinging in the eyes of people who disagree with you about anime, but he can also be spec'd with the ability Escape Plan, giving him a much higher likelihood of successfully escaping battles, as well as the ability Dash, which lets him move at double speed. In any other RPG, the combination of these two abilities would be a convenience, but in Fear and Hunger, they are game-changing, as you will now be able to outrun most enemies and escape easily even in the off chance they catch you, trivializing both the opening dogs as well as the 30-minute time limit you have if you want to reach the guard alive. Meaning, if you know what you're doing...
Oh my god! Yes! Oh my god!
So then, Knight
Oh my god.
is the best character,
Hold on.
asterisk, in combat, second asterisk at the beginning of the game, because you see, the Outlander, who can also be spec'd with Dash, has the highest base attack.
Share with friends
Hi,
and
this is my mom. Hi.
Oh, hey- oh.
I'm recording, I'm not live right now, but yeah.
Oh, you're recording?
I'm just recording, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
Well, I'll let you keep going.
Okay.
Anyway, I heard you, so I just wanted
Don't
to
say my name, by the
congratulations.
way.
I won't.
Okay.
All right, I listened. Awesome job.
Thank
I
you.
heard the celebration. I had to come in and give you props.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well done, dude.
Thank you.
All right, that's a good way to have a happy
Yeah, indeed.
As nice as well
Bye.
as a late game item that will let him move twice per turn. Meaning,
Oh my God.
if you can struggle through
Okay.
a particularly
Holy
brutal
shit.
early game,
Yeah. Holy shit. I beat the level! I actually beat the level. Holy shit. Oh my god. That's amazing. I just beat the level like that. Let's go. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna take a screenshot. What are my thoughts? I didn't have as big of a reaction as I thought I would, because, you know, Yadagarasu was bigger, and plus my mom came in the room, so it kind of just helped me calm down a little bit, but yeah. This was so fun. This was so fun once I finally learned the level. Garo and Elex are really, really hard to learn when you first do it, but once you get them down, they are so satisfying. And yeah, 50 extreme demons, and I beat Ragnarok. I beat Ragnarok. Oh my god. Holy shit. Yeah, let's add the attempts now. Okay, 22,966. Where's my phone? Okay. Let's see here. Thank you to my mom for calming me down by being in the room, so that's pretty cool. Plus, I came up with 7,447 because I had a screenshot of random different numbers. I'm not sure what those numbers were, whether they referred to like an old copy or the official level. And because I thought, you know what, I might as well have had older attempts as well, I just decided to add those two as well. So 7,447 equals, here's the number, 32,657. Holy fucking shit. I'm gonna make a post and then let's see what's next, I guess. I personally have no idea what my next Extreme Demon's gonna be, whether it's gonna be like an easy or a decently harder one. But all I know is that I'm doing Strawberry Jam Drunk Grandmaster immediately after this. So yeah. Plus that was my very first time past 42%, I think. I don't know what happened. Like, I blinked and I realized, oh my god, I'm at Binox's part, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna fucking concentrate. But yeah, it's finally fucking over. Holy shit, dude. Alright. I'm gonna now save a clip, and then if I have the first sauce, I'll just record like something else as well. But yeah, G fucking G. And I'm also going to stop recording here as well.